Good day, ma'am. My name is Cheran Salado and my topic is all about lactose intolerance and galactosemia. Lactose is the principal carbohydrate in milk. Human mother's milk obtained by nursing infants contains 7 to 8% lactose, almost double the 4% and 5% lactose found in cows. For many people, the digestion and absorption of lactose are a problem. This problem, called lactose intolerance, is a condition in which people lack the enzyme lactase, which is needed to hydrolyze lactose to galactose and glucose. Sa daghang tawo, ang digestion ug absorption sa lactose mo ang problema. So, kana nga problema is gitawag siya og lactose intolerance. Kana siya is the condition nga where people which people kulang sa enzyme lactase nga kinahanglan or needed nga ma-hydrolyze sa lactose, galactose o glucose. Lactose plus H2O lactase, glucose plus galactose. Deficiency of lactase can be caused by genetic defects, by physiological decline with age, or by injury to the mucosal lining the intestine. When lactose molecules remain in the intestine undigested, they attract water to themselves, causing fullness, discomfort, or pagsakit sa puson, pagasuka o pagkakalibanga. Bacteria fermentation of the lactose further along the intestinal tract produces acid or lactic acid and gas, adding to the discomfort. The level of the enzymes lactase in human varies with age. Most children have efficient lactase during the early years of their life, when milk is much needed source of calcium in their diet. So, ang mga bata is kinahanglan jud nila ng lactose during sa ilang early years, sa ilang kinabuhi, because much needed jud nila ang milk nga ang source is ang source of calcium nga kinahanglan sa ilang diet. In adult, the enzyme level decreases and lactose intolerance develops. Sa mga gulang, ang enzyme level is nagkaumubo while ang lactose intolerance nagka-develop. This explains the change in milk drinking habits of many adults because of the change sa ilang mga gatas sa mga gulang. Some researchers estimate that as many as 1 of 3 adult Americans exhibits a degree of lactose intolerance. The estimated prevalence of lactose intolerance is as follows. So, naatay first, 80% Asian Americans, second, 80% Native Americans, third, 75% African Americans, fourth, 70% Mediterranean peoples, fifth, 60% Inuits, sixth, 50% Hispanics, and 20% Caucasians, and 10% Northern Europeans. So, almost lactose has been degraded into glucose and galactose. The galactose has to be converted into glucose before it can be used by cells. So after ang galactose is ma-degraded sa glucose o galactose, ang galactose is kailangan converted na siya into glucose, usa siya gamiton para sa cells. In human, the genetic condition called Galactosemia is caused by the absence of one or more of the enzymes needed for their conversion. Sa mga tao, ang genetic condition mo na siyang itawag nga galactosemia nga nag-cause sa absence sa usa or daghan nga enzyme nga needed para sa conversion. In people with this condition, galactose in its toxic metabolic derivative galactositol or dolcitol accumulate in the blood. Sa mga tao mo ni siyang condition sa galactose, toxic ni siya nga metabolic para sa galactositol para mag-accumulate sa dugo. So we have CHO, dayon CH2OH, CHO, D-galactose, dayon CH20OH, D-galactitol or D-dolcitol. Thank you.